Walking to the store. Join me as I talk about day 4 of the Karen Reed trial and go for a walk. And this is just so pretty. It won't be pretty like this for long, even with the garbage lid there. Soon it'll rain and this will look nasty right now. I'm listening to Karen Reed. Hello, my lovely peaches. A little out of breath. Walking home from the store. So I'm listening to Karen Reed on Emily D. Baker. There's a break right now because they're gonna go do a tour of 34 Fairview, where John O'Keefe was killed. So I'm walking to the store. I feel like this morning Alan Jackson was really trying desperately to make it seem like that paramedic or the fire, Katie McLaughlin, he's like, you were friends with Caitlin Albert. You guys hung out and you went to the beach and you were drinking beer and you were friends for 10 years. And then they had to voir dire these photos that they pulled off of some social media site. There was no dates. She was like, I don't know when these are from. These look really old. These look like they're from high school. It's like, so it's like, she's like, we were acquaintances. We had mutual friends. Yeah, we hung out. And there was like a bunch of people there. And he's trying to, Alan Jackson, the defense lawyer's trying to turn that into like a close enough relationship that she's gonna risk her fucking life to cover up a murder? Like, what? I am like, as Emily says, you're trying to make fetch happen. It is not fetching. No, I'm not buying that at all. So the photos were not admitted because there was literally no foundation. It didn't even say whose social medias they were from, what date, nothing. So there's no foundation. And he asked her a bunch of questions trying to make it seem like, oh wait, do it over here. They were friends. And I was shocked that a lot of people in the comments were like, she's being evasive, she's being evasive. So I'm like, how is it evasive if somebody's trying to make it seem like, here, let's do these over here. You're close with somebody that you're not. They're trying to like paint this close conspiracy theory. Trying to paint a close conspiracy theory just because you knew somebody in high school. Like, what the heck? Anyway. So I was listening to Emily D. Baker streaming the Karen Reed trial. They're on a break now. They went to do a view of the 34 Fairview, a view of Fairview, so that they can see with their own eyes what it looks like. Which apparently is somewhat of an unusual thing to do in a trial. It's less common for juries to actually go to the scene. Also interesting, there doesn't seem to be any crime scene photos. Like they never took any. Helicopter. Take off my scarf and my sweatshirt because it's getting warmer. They look like caterpillars. What are they looking at? I have no idea what they're looking at or looking for, but this is pretty. It's a nice palette cleanser. So I have work that I really need to do. I haven't done any work this morning. Things are going really slow with my client lately, and I'm hoping things will pick back up. It's just like a lull, but I have other work that I'm supposed to be doing, so I need to get on that. But I am watching the Karen Reed trial, and I thought they weren't going to be doing it on Fridays, and they are, so that's good. I guess it's like full day Monday, Wednesday, Friday, half days, Tuesdays, Thursdays. And then the Chad Daybell, it's going to be day 16 today. So, you know, I'm not watching all of everything, and I'm not watching everything live, and I catch clips and highlights on various channels I enjoy, so I'm keeping up with it. But so far, and I saw a lot of people being like, oh, Caitlin McLaughlin is being evasive, trying to act like there's not a connection. And then Alan Jackson is trying to pull out photos from 10 years ago, group photos, like Facebook. It didn't even say. So I agree with Emily that there was no grounds, there was no foundation to admit those photos, trying to make it seem like there's a conspiracy, and people who are saying, oh, she's being evasive, when they said, did you know Caitlin Albert? And she said, I went to school with Caitlin Albert. And then he's like, you were friends, you hung out, you took vacations. And she's like, no. And then they had to voir dire, which was denied. The photos were denied because there was no metadata, didn't show when they were from, where they were from, whose page they were on. She's like, those look really old. Large group photos on a beach. She's like, we didn't go on a vacation. And as Emily pointed out, they live in Boston, which is on the water. So if you're in high school, and like, if somebody pulled up a picture of me from high school, like, look, you were at this event with a bunch of people, and there you are in a photo, I'd be like, okay, you guys are Facebook friends. So I was Facebook friends with a lot of people from high school, just because we knew each other, but we weren't actually friends. So that seems pretty flimsy. There are airplanes, helicopters, leaf blowers, lawn mowers, cars, trucks, planes, trains. Oh my. Lions, tigers, bears. Oh my. All right, I'm even hotter. I'm going to take off my sweatshirt. So, just doing an update. Like, I am watching. I am very open to see what can they prove. What can either side prove? It's super early. It's only day 4. So, I'm not making any conclusions. I'm just making my reactions as I go along the way. So far, I still feel like it does seem to me like the defense is reaching, but I'm assuming this is a big web of connections that they're trying to prove for this conspiracy theory. Emily pointed out it's only the very beginning. We're in the Commonwealth's case in chief. That means that when the defense has their case in chief, they may bring witnesses who say, I took that photo. That was from my social media. And I remember that event. And they were friends. And, so it's possible that there'll be more evidence to prove she is hiding and lying. Or if they don't bring any more damning evidence, then the jury can find and determine, no, the defense is just reaching and there's no conspiracy here. But again, we have to see. Watching the Karen Reed trial today, day 4. They are currently on a break at the moment that I'm filming this. A break to go see the actual location of 34 Fairview Ave, where John O'Keefe was killed. Karen Reed won't go. So they did take some video of the view when the jurors went to the home, 34 Fairview Ave Road, to see the home, the scene of the crime. I thought that they weren't going to film any of it because it would be too hard, but apparently they were able to get some footage of it without the jury in the way, of course. And there was a funny moment where Emily was playing it, and then there was like somebody was on the audio. You couldn't see who it was, but you could hear them saying something like, oh, he's such a dick. I can't listen to that guy. And it was pretty funny, but we have no idea who he was talking about. So Emily thought it was either one of the lawyers that the person was talking about. So that was kind of funny. So, yeah. Also, I thought that I was talking, but it was muted. So then I re-recorded some of what I said, and then I don't know. So hopefully this video is not too repetitive and disjointed, because I thought I was being muted, but I wasn't. And it seems like there's no crime scene photos, like they didn't have. Hello. Seems like they didn't treat it like a crime scene. I don't know. I mean, there's a couple of photos, but it's like the same 2 pictures they keep showing. So the short version is Katie McLaughlin, the paramedic firefighter, the one who said that Karen Reed said, I hit him. Alan Jackson was trying to prove that she's friends with Caitlin, and in fact has, some kind of connection to them. And a lot of the people in the chat of Emily D. Baker's stream was like, she's being evasive. What I saw was somebody who was like, do you know Caitlin Albert? And she's like, I went to high school with Caitlin Albert. And then he's like, aren't you friends? Didn't you go on vacations? Didn't you this and that and the other thing? And then they bring out some photos on voir dire, meaning the jury was not there. And from what they describe, there was no dates on the photo. Didn't say whose social media it came off of. All he proved was that they were friends on a social media account, and that there was a couple of old ass photos that she said looked like it could have been from high school from 2014 at a beach in a big ass group of like 30 people. And that there was one part where they were close together and maybe he had an arm around her or something, but it was like a cropped, zoomed in thing, and they're like trying to make it seem like they're real close. She's like, yeah, we had mutual friends in high school. So I think that if you're already leaning towards guilty, then everything that's being presented, you will be more likely to see it in a positive light for the prosecution. Whereas if you already think that she's innocent and she's being framed, you're more likely to think of everything in the defense's favor. However, I'm still neutral, well, I would say like 51-49, leaning towards guilt. Although at the same time, I still repeat the same thought, that the idea that multiple people across multiple agencies have all conspired to murder and hide it and cover it up and frame someone, it just is a lot less believable than one person did a thing and is trying to blame everybody else. So far today, I would say Lolly, the prosecutor, he has really stepped up and done a way better job, at least when he was on the redirect of Katie McLaughlin. But, you know, he keeps saying, what if any, kind of like Elaine Bredehoff, and it's super annoying, and his questions are frequently not clear, and many of the witnesses have asked him multiple times, can you please restate your question, or I don't know what you're asking me, that's not clear. And that is a problem.
Can you rephrase the question?
And that is a problem. That is a problem if he cannot be clear, if his own witnesses cannot even understand what he's trying to get at. That is not going to bode well for him going forward. And if the defense is super clear, and even if they're not, like today, you know, pointing out that Katie McLaughlin had hung out with Caitlin Albert however many years ago, the way that it came across, I saw most people in the comments were looking at Katie McLaughlin like she was evasive and shady. And I didn't feel that way. I felt like if somebody was trying to make it seem like I'm friends with somebody just because we're Facebook friends and there's a picture of us from 10 years ago, I would be like, no. You know, so it's kind of the way that you look at it. But again, this is super early on, and let's see what stacks up. Funny. So Emily D. Baker, one time she was on this stream with Law and Lumber and then Runkle of the Bailey, and they started talking about wood stack daddy and leather stack daddy. And then in the Karen Reed trial, they keep zooming in onto the fan. And for some reason that annoys Emily, and she's like, not the only fan. So she was like, stacks of OnlyFans. I'm like, this stacks of OnlyFans trial, but this isn't the OnlyFans trial. This is it's just funny. Kind of funny. So helpful to have a little bit of levity in the middle of something really sad and tragic. It is especially tragic with John O'Keefe, considering that he was raising his niece and nephew who had been orphaned. They lost their mom, his sister, and then a couple months later, their dad, his brother-in-law, passed away, and he was taking care of them, raising them, and then he died. So it's super, super, super tragic for those kids. And, you know, whoever did it, I feel like they need to, justice needs to be served, justice for John O'Keefe. And, you know, I have no personal gain or loss if it is Karen Reed who is guilty or if it was somebody else who was guilty. And I'm interested and curious, but so far I feel like the prosecution really needs to step up, and they need to get more specific. They need to start showing more evidence. They need to be more clear, more concise. They need to have a clear, understandable timeline. They need to start talking about motive. Why did Karen do this? How did she do this? Show me more about how she did it, because right now it's just kind of foggy. It's like being in a fucking blizzard. I don't know what I'm really looking at here.
I want to see the right now. Yeah, I would love to see
Oh my
it
gosh,
right now.
guess how you know I'm telling the truth? I have your perfect formula. Receipts, proof, timeline, screenshots, everything to prove that you are a bully and a troll, and you do not deserve to be at this table or anywhere near any of us for the way you have treated us. Every single one of us has woken up in fear for the that you toasted. That is bullshit.
This case involves a woman who is accused of striking her Boston police officer boyfriend with her SUV and leaving him for dead in a snowbank. The case has garnered national attention because her defense attorneys have suggested a vast conspiracy to frame her. A blogger has joined the cause, sowing doubts about the case and attacking everyone from prosecutors to witnesses, which has raised...
They've only shown like the same couple of photos. It seems like they don't have a lot of photos. The evidence is weak. But then when the defense was trying to make it seem like Katie McLaughlin is this good close friend with Caitlin Albert, that was really, really, really weak. And that, to me, that seemed like reaching, trying to make a connection.
In the Karen Reed murder trial,
I don't know who it was.
Reed is accused of...
I hit him.
...repented later.
That's not true entirely.
What do you mean entirely? What does that mean entirely?
That means it's part true.
Oh my God. Disgusting.
Lisa?
It's disgusting. You think you can sit at our table and have us celebrate your birthday?
Yeah, by her.
You're not.
So what do you think? You think Karen Reed was in the right to call herself John O'Keefe's wife so she could insinuate herself as if she had rights and access to him? Or do you think that she was overstepping? Do you think she did it so far, or do you still not know? Or do you think she's innocent?
In the Karen Reed murder trial,
I don't know who it was.
Reed is accused of...
I hit him.
One of
...repented
the
later.
witnesses said she was upset, saying, I can't take care of the kids, I can't take care of the kids, to which he responded something like, it looks like you have a good support system, to which she said something like, well, if you knew Carrie, you wouldn't say that, and then it got cut off with objections. So I'm curious about what that was. I'm curious what their arguing really was about. Did he really break up with her like the niece had said? Apparently he was upset that she spent too much money on the kids. She bought the kids donuts. And that could be problematic if you're trying to teach your children certain things. You want to raise them a certain way, and maybe you don't want to spoil them and or give them too many sweets. So I would like to know a lot more about that. Did she have a motive? Did Brian Albert or Trooper Proctor have a motive? Really, really weak. And that, to me, that seemed like reaching, trying to make a connection that is just simply not there. And for me personally, being Facebook friends with somebody and having a large group photo with 12 to 30 people in that group photo, and you're on a beach in a high school setting, that is not proof that somebody is close enough to do a conspiracy to cover up a murder. Because why would they, like, show me why these people would do this, why they would risk not only their jobs and their reputations, but literally their freedom. Because if you conspire to murder or cover up a murder, you're going to do some jail time. So make it make sense to me, because right now it just looks like a guilty woman who is the only one who is the one who's pointing fingers at everybody else, and everybody else is like, she was the one who was saying this stuff, you know. And to me, different people saying, she said, I hit him, and then he's fucking dead, and is he dead? Like, none of those things to me contradict, because if she's running around in circles, which multiple people said, running around in circles, hysterical, saying, I hit him, is he dead, he's fucking dead, that does not sound contradictory to me. Plus, they all said she's running around in circles. So again, it is only day 4. It is Friday, May 3rd, 2024. It is exactly 2 p.m. right now while I'm filming this. And they are on their lunch break. They are meant to be coming back right now. And they are meant to be coming back. So I've watched a little bit of Chad Daybell today while they were on their break and stuff at Karen Reed. But honestly, it was kind of dragging and boring. So I turned that off. I'll catch the highlights later. Okay, see you. Bye.
To her about going to the hospital with the Section 12. And she was resistant.
So it's back on, and it seems like my videos did actually record sound. Maybe I thought it was not recording because it was still connected to my speaker earphone thingy. I don't know. I'm going to put the video together and see how it turns out. So I went ahead and watched the rest of today's streaming of the trial, and there was a couple more witnesses who discussed Karen getting a, what was it called, a 12 hold or something. Like, they thought that she needed to go to the mental hospital because she was saying, like, I don't know if I can live, if my husband is dead. Oh yeah, so that was another thing so Emily D. Baker's opinion is the fact that Karen was calling herself the wife or calling John her husband. She said, oh, I don't think it's a big deal. And I strongly disagree with Emily, because when you're somebody's spouse, you have access to their information, you have rights, you have access to see them, you have access to the hospital, you have access to doctors, to nurses, to diagnoses. There's so many things that being somebody's wife would give you that, being their girlfriend would not. And I think it's a big ass deal to claim to be somebody's, what the frick is that? I think claiming to be somebody's wife in a situation like that, like, it's one thing if you're just hanging out with friends and, you know, you're like, oh, that's my wife or that's my husband. But when it comes to like law enforcement and legal and medical situations, I get it. Like Emily said, oh, she probably said she's the wife so she would be taken more seriously. But exactly, why should she be entitled to be treated as somebody's legal spouse when she was in fact likely the ex-girlfriend? So I don't know. It's still only day 4. They said this is going to be 8 to 10 weeks. That means that there's a heck of a lot more evidence and more witnesses and more videos and more things to come out. So I'm following it day by day. I am just formulating opinions about what's happening as it's happening, but reserving my ultimate opinion for once all the evidence has been presented and both sides have closed their cases and done their closing arguments, and then it's time for jury deliberation. So at that point, I will deliberate and come up with what I think is, what my opinion is. Guilty, not guilty, hung jury. I can't decide. At this point, I don't have enough evidence to say she's guilty by any means, because they haven't presented enough. And as far as evidence of a potential conspiracy or a cover-up, there's even less evidence, in my opinion, of that. So that's where that stands, and hopefully this video will make some sense and not be too repetitive. So I'm going to see what I all said, since I thought that I was literally getting cut off 3 times. They did also show pictures of John O'Keefe's scratched up arm, which is giving me nightmares because even though it's not like that gory, it's just so gross. It looks so disgusting. And, you know, I don't know. They didn't mention anything about where his clothes ripped up, or maybe they weren't ripped up. One guy said he had on a puffer coat. Another person said he had on a zipped up hoodie. Somebody else said it was a thin jacket. So there's not been consensus on what he was wearing, and they have not yet presented the evidence of the clothing to show whether or not it's got scratches on the shirt itself or on the jacket. What could have scratched up his arm? Was there scratches on his arm, but then he had on a jacket or something on top that wasn't scratched? Was he fighting with Karen in the car, arguing, and she was scratching at him before he got out, and then she hit him? Was it a dog that attacked him? To me, either one is totally speculation, because at this point, either side has just kind of said, it could have been this, it could have been that, but we haven't seen the evidence. So it did look pretty gross. And it was like scratches on the arm, and then there was like bloody. And a couple of people in Emily D. Baker's comments said, oh, it looks just like a dog attack. But, I mean, it didn't look like that to me. Or it wasn't clear. Like, it could have been somebody scratching. I don't know. There's also been several witnesses who said that John O'Keefe had only one shoe on. So when you get hit by a vehicle, a lot of times your shoes will fly off. So that could be a reason. Or the shoe could have come off if he was trying to get inside for help, or if he was inside getting beat up, the shoe could have been left inside. But from what they've testified to so far, nobody went inside the house. However, one of the paramedics testified that his body was very close to the road, and so they felt that it was a road accident, and that's why they never went into the house, because it didn't seem like that was what was called for. So I will say, if I haven't already said this, that it seems like it's more possible. So it seems like people were not doing a thorough job. People were not reporting thoroughly. People weren't sharing everything that they'd heard. People were making assumptions that other people were doing more. But so far, from the people who have testified, I have not in any way gotten a sense of these are all a tight-knit group of people who have coordinated a complex conspiracy, murder, cover-up, frame job. Like, no, I'm not getting mastermind, cover-up, frame job. And murder. I'm getting people who, it was late, it was snowing, or no, it was early. It was 6 a.m. It was early, it was snowing, it was cold. People were trying to save this guy's life. They were not thinking of it necessarily as like a crime scene murder. So they were probably not doing the best job. It seems like maybe it's more of a kind of not thorough investigation. But again, I don't know. You know, they're saying that all those people, nobody found the glass, the broken plastic headlight thing. But it seems like it was super hectic, and Karen and the other people are like running in circles, and there's a man on the ground dying or dead, and it was a blizzard and it was dark. So
you know, I don't know. I think like I could see it's possible that they wouldn't find pieces of glass or plastic until like another time. They went back a couple times and it was less hectic and it wasn't a blizzard and maybe it was light out and maybe they had a clue what the fuck they were looking for in the first place because they saw the broken taillight on her SUV, her Lexus, which is apparently the top model that you can get. So, you know, she was a wealthy woman. So, as I was saying earlier, if their arguments stemmed from she's spending too much money on them, she's buying them donuts, I can see, you know, people being like, oh, whoopee-de-doo. But at the same time, it could be whoopee-de-doo because maybe you're trying to have your kids be more healthy. Maybe you don't want your children to be spoiled with a lot of money. Maybe she was throwing money at problems. Maybe she was trying to give money in place of love, attention, affection, good role models, good guidance. I don't know. Just because somebody's spending a lot of money on somebody does not mean that that's a positive. Especially if you're arguing about it with their father. Because at that point, he was their father and the one who was raising them. So I don't know. I'm very curious to see what all the other people will say. What will the other witnesses say? Is the defense team going to be able to spider web together some massive conspiracy to prove, I mean, some flimsy ass looking photos off of some social media site that can't even pass voir dire is not giving me a lot of confidence that they're going to come with screenshots, receipts, everything. That's what we're here for. That's what we're waiting on. Which side is going to have the proof to prove their case? Will it be Alan Jackson and that other dude and that little blonde one, or is it going to be Lally, the prosecution, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts? I don't know. I will say I'm more confused, more questions, and I definitely am just kind of like, I don't know. I don't know yet. And we'll be back to talk about it next time. It is Friday, so Monday, court will resume. There was one other thing I wanted to mention before I finished out the video. I'm drinking lemon seltzer with sugar cubes. It's my glass straw with a pineapple on it. One of the witnesses had testified that Karen was saying, I don't want to live if my husband is dead. If my husband is dead, I can't go on, something like that. And so a couple of the people felt like she was possibly in danger of hurting herself. Then a couple of the other people were leaning more towards this is just natural things people say when faced with the reality that, you know, their spouse might be dead. So there was like not clear agreement about, was she hysterical to the point where she actually needed to be put on a psychiatric hold or evaluation? Or was she just behaving, you know, quite upset like anybody would if their boyfriend or someone that they considered, you know, I mean, that's the thing though, like, you can consider somebody like a spouse, but if they're not really your spouse, you know, and then there's like different levels of that. Like my sister, for example, and her boyfriend, they are not married. They are engaged. They've been living together for at least 12 years. they've been together as a couple for 15 years. They've lived together in like 3 different homes. They both have children, and they don't have children together, but they have children, and their children, you know, consider each other as like a parent or a step parent. So sometimes I call him my brother-in-law. He's not actually my brother-in-law because he's not actually married to my sister. I call his children my nieces, even though technically they're not my nieces. I'd say to my mom, those are your granddaughters, even though, you know, like they have to technically get married for that to be technically true. And when my sister went to the hospital recently, I think that they did say that that's her husband. However, they're engaged and they live together and they've been together for 15 years. So from what I understand of Karen Reed and John O'Keefe, they were dating for 2 years, and there was contention about him wanting to break up with her, or he actually did break up with her. And she said in that interview she didn't know if she was invited to the party, which made me think, well, maybe that had something to do with the fact that they were breaking up. I don't know. Again, all of this stuff has to come out. So was she in the right to call herself his wife? Considering the little bit of information that I have so far, I'm leaning towards probably not. But, you know, but people do it. So is it a crime? No. But if she actually did the crime that she's convicted, that she's on trial for, if she's actually done the crime that she's on trial for, then she will be going to jail for some amount of time. So I doubt it will be for the rest of her life. And we'll see. I mean, at this rate, it seems like it's going to be a hung jury at best. So, but it's only day 4. So lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of more stuff will come out. And then we'll get to decide. We get to decide what we think, but the actual jury will decide the real actual outcome. They did actually point out when talking about that she was taken to the hospital to be put on this psychiatric hold, that it came out that she has MS, multiple sclerosis, which is an autoimmune disorder. And I feel like that was a low blow kind of defense move, trying to evoke sympathy for like medical reasons. Like, I don't know. I wasn't really feeling that. So also, let's see, I was trying to get a little bit more information regarding how long they were together. So I found this article on AP News that says the case has garnered national attention because the defense alleges that state and local law enforcement officials framed Karen Reed and allowed the real killer to go free. So the charges: a tumultuous relationship turns deadly. Karen Reed, 44, of Mansfield, Massachusetts, faces several charges, including second-degree murder in the death of John O'Keefe, 46. The 16-year police veteran was found unresponsive outside the home of a fellow Boston police officer, Brian Albert. Okay, and then prosecutors are trying to show that Reed's actions were intentional. To do that, Norfolk Assistant District Attorney Adam Lally offered what he said was evidence that the couple's stormy relationship had begun to sour in the month before O'Keefe died. The prosecution's first witness, O'Keefe's brother Paul, testified that the couple regularly argued over such matters as what Reed fed O'Keefe's 2 adopted children, and that he witnessed a 2021 fight the couple had in Cape Cod over how O'Keefe treated her. Paul O'Keefe's wife, Erin, testified that Reed told her the couple fought in Aruba after Karen had caught John O'Keefe kissing another woman. The defense team portrayed the investigation into O'Keefe's death as shoddy and undermined by the close relationship investigators had with the police and other law enforcement agents at the house party. So I still don't know. They are trying, on Friday, which was today, defense attorney Alan Jackson attempted to show a connection between the first responders on the scene and the owners of the house where O'Keefe died. Jackson repeatedly questioned Katie McLaughlin, a firefighter who responded to the scene, about her relationship, Caitlin Albert, whose family lived there at the time of O'Keefe's death. So they went to high school together, but Katie said that her and Albert had not even spoken in years. So, what are your thoughts? Maybe, I don't know. But I will continue watching, and I will continue doing updates whenever appropriate. So, if you enjoy, I'll do updates along the way. If you enjoyed this, thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for giving me likes. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for commenting. And if you enjoy my content, please subscribe. And I'll see you later. Bye. So have a great Friday night. It is now 5:56 p.m. Friday, May 3rd. Tomorrow, May the 4th be with you. Mwah. See you in the next one.